Storyline is good, but problematic is actually the characters.
Imagine her situation.
A woman is seen as a trophy.
Would you marry me?
You know, I'm only violent when I'm drunk.
My husband is cheating on me.
मेरा दिमाग नहीं खराब है.
Hello guys, welcome back to 3 AM Confessions with Aditi, Barira and me Nandita. Today we're going to be talking about Bollywood men we love to hate and also show a lot of love towards amazing men we have seen. So let's start guys. Start with Aditi.
Bollywood was such an important part of our childhood. Like, we obviously, all of us just watched these movies that were romantic, just framed the way we think about men, framed the way we wanted our love stories to be. There were a lot of mixed messages in those movies.
There were so many films that we kind of romanticized, or the actors, for one being Shah Rukh Khan in Kuch Hota hai. And we used to see him as this perfect guy that, you know, he's so cool and he plays basketball, all of that. But then later we probably went on to realize that maybe not, maybe he had his own issues. I mean, I'm not a big fan of his character in that film, to be honest.
Rahul Mehra.
Yeah.
The one with that cool pendant necklace.
Most of us went through a couple of breakups to actually understand, no, maybe he's the kind of guys that he exhibits. It's not the right kind.
He goes through this character change where he becomes a father to Angaranjali, right?
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? Then he's so much more balanced.
Exactly.
The funny thing is, the guy suddenly has his priorities set. The guy who initially couldn't even see that he has the perfect partner right there with him, now has a better appreciation for just the concepts that actually matter.
Exactly. And it's funny, suddenly Kajol has this like long hair and she's looking more feminine according to the movie. Also, he has already lost his wife, Rani Mukherjee. And suddenly he's like, oh, Kajol is back. I'm back.
I'm in love with her.
Exactly.
Speaking of Shah Rukh Khan, one movie, for example, that I liked of his was Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. I mean, he was such a nice guy in that one. I mean, not to start the debate
His
on the concept of...
priorities were clear in that film. He knew he wanted Kajol and he got her. I mean,
yeah, and I'm going to be the right balance of values. I mean, what also perhaps, yes, he did become estranged from his family, but it wasn't by choice. And he didn't start hating them or he didn't alienate them because he was in love. None of those things. It's that he fell in love. He stayed true to the fact that he fell in love. His family estranged him, still he didn't hate them. That's just so human.
I also feel like the death of Kajol's father, and because she did not have any mother, basically...
Like no family.
She had no family after that. She and her sister, I think it ignited that in him that he needs to be with her now, because he already kind of fell in love with her, but now that she has no family, he needs to be that family to her. Maybe that's why he rushed into the decision of kind of marrying her.
And what I absolutely loved was that it wasn't just the girl, right? He actually even took in, and as if she was his own sister. That's amazing. Like
exactly, and you could see that after like they have moved to London. They're living in this amazing, ravishing house. Kajol is not changed. She has not changed herself or Shah Rukh Khan. She's like, okay, I'm going to be that, you know, Chandni Chowk ki chorpi ladki, and she's just like that. And I think that character did not expect her to change herself.
He appreciated the fact that she was still so desi and so attached. He didn't humiliate her for it, and he was extremely successful, even having been away from his family, which was a very successful family. So what more can you ask for a person who stays true to one, his family, two, his wife, and three, takes in his wife's family as family and does justice by the whole situation.
I remember the scene where she's coming down and she's all ready and she's wearing this halter neck and he's like, "Piche ka kahan hai?" And then she's like, "Chichu, please." The best part is he doesn't try to be her third parental guardian. He is just showing, okay, don't go like that, but okay, fine, I'll accept that.
There's a concern, there's a sense of concern.
But it's also coming in the way of, oh, it's all right, it's all chill, you know. So that must be pretty beautiful. So
it's not imposing.
It's not imposing, definitely. So that's what character of Shah Rukh we love. Oh, you know what? I have one character which I hated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. I don't know if anybody has seen the movie. It's pretty old. It's called Abhimaan. It had Amitabh Bachchan and Jaya Bachchan. And this movie was about this really famous singer who's Amitabh Bachchan, and he discovers Jaya Bachchan, who is a village girl, and she's singing, and he discovers, and he's like, oh wow, amazing voice. So he discovers her, and then, you know, he's like, okay, he takes her to Mumbai and gives her a shot, falls in love with her at the same time. They marry. After they get married, Jaya Bachchan's career is totally, pivoting. She's famous than Amitabh Bachchan. So this character, Subir of Amitabh Bachchan, in the movie they show that, now the wife is more famous than the husband here. He gets this ego clash with her. Oh, why is she famous? And he also starts acting weird and all jealous. Ki, how can you be like, you're my wife and how can you be famous? He doesn't accept the fact. She goes through miscarriage. And it's only after in the movie when she goes through miscarriage, they show he comes back and he apologizes to her. Ki, oh, I'm so sorry. The movie ends like, oh, now they're like together and fine. That's the character I hated because, they get back together at the expense of what when she loses a child and she goes through so much pain.
It also sounds very similar to Ashiki 2.
That's what I was going to say. It reminded me of that.
Right.
Exactly.
But Ashiki 2 was more believable to me because honestly, one, he never got over it. And when he did get over it, it didn't end with an apology. He actually realized that I'm always going to be a negative influence and not in any way supporting the idea of suicide. But
He was drinking 24/7, by the way.
It was more about his alcohol consumption rather than.
But also, actually, I would slightly disagree. People attribute certain personalities to their lifestyles. People attribute drinking, smoking, and them to be like, I'm only violent when I'm drunk. There was that movie as well, right? Darlings.
Yeah.
The guy was apparently only violent when he was drunk. Until one time he was violent when he wasn't drunk.
Yeah.
And because
that was his true nature.
I'm sorry, but drinking doesn't change who you are. It just takes away the inhibitions.
A man should be a cheerleader.
Partner should be a cheerleader. It's not a man or a woman. You have another person sharing your life with you.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be cheerleading for them. Their success can only but benefit your life.
Definitely. This movie was really beautiful, amazing acting, amazing cast.
Yeah.
But Subir we hate.
What you said brings me to Piku, like Irrfan Khan. It wasn't exactly about Deepika Padukone's career or anything, but she had a responsibility of her father. And it was a massive responsibility. It was absolutely difficult. But Irrfan Khan was extremely supportive and understanding of her. I mean, even from a distance, because they never really got together while Amitabh Bachchan was alive. But then even so, the little moments that they had, maybe at the ghat that they'd gone to, or even during the drive, even later when once Deepika asks him that, would you marry me? Then he said, Mera dimag nahi kharab hai. Matlab, they kind of know that there was a spark between them, but he also knew that she had a huge responsibility and he wasn't so sure if he could take her into his life with that. He didn't kind of push her away.
Exactly. He respected her decision. The feelings did not change ever.
Exactly.
And it's, again, being human, right? Like, it's understandable if you have doubts after taking up someone else's baggage, whether you're a man or a woman. It's, if you haven't warmed up to that idea yet, if you're not there yet, you're not there yet. There's nothing wrong with that. But just being true to it and not expecting the other person to drop everything that's important to them for you is the sentiment that we can respect. It's fine that you can't take it, but can you just not expect us to drop it just because it's not yours?
Right.
Yeah, that was a beautiful character. This also reminds me another Irrfan Khan's character. It was Lunchbox.
Oh,
it was such a beautiful character. Tajan, the character, he's old, loves to watch shows on DD. He also talks about his wife with his colleagues, and then there is like certain exchange of letters with Nimrit Kaur, Ila. There was a very beautiful scene where they decide to meet in a cafe, very famous cafe in Mumbai. He goes and he reaches there and he sees her sitting. She's sitting there, and he just stands there, looks at her and goes back to his house, doesn't really meet her. And then after that, he breaks this thing in the letter that, today I saw you, Ila, but the thing is that, you are so young and you have so much ahead in your life. So I just want you to be happy and I'm pretty old. I don't think that we are meant for this. It was such a beautiful character because in the letter, the way he used to write, the way he used to appreciate her cooking and everything else was so beautiful.
And the idea is so selfless that he is not just only like thinking about himself, that, I can have this woman. She's also interested in meeting me, She has a life ahead of her. And do you think that maybe I could be maybe an impediment in her life?
In this movie where she also breaks it to him in the letter that she says, I think my husband is cheating on me. Yeah. He doesn't take any chance of that factor that, now that I should get on with this woman because she's being cheated on. Yeah. That was a really good thing to show that, being a man, he's not really, just jumping onto the conclusion like, let me just go ahead and be the person I want to be.
I mean, the 90s movies were so different in that front, right? I mean, they just portrayed men in this very, very particular way. They're supposed to be manly. They're supposed to be sporty. athletic. They're supposed to, like, it's just as if there is nothing more to men than that. It's such a weird notion. Like, even when they're artsy, they're just a certain way, and it's somehow completely okay to be that way. Bigger problem, the men aren't happy. Coming back to older movies, Parineeta, based off of Bengali novel, and I struggle to hate on the movie simply because I love the music in the movie.
Yeah, beautiful song.
But it's based on these childhood friends who grow up together, and the guy is from a very well-to-do family, and from the very beginning he's taken to her, right? Taken to the girl, to the extent that he's like taken his Almirah keys and just handed it to her and been like, you handle it, take whatever money you want from here, and you're not even answerable to me about what you take from here. And at this point they're just friends, right? And the girl is obviously also very attached by the time they grow up. The girl has a job and everything. Family friend basically visits from abroad and starts liking the girl. The last guy, Shekhar, he starts getting jealous. And suddenly this guy who treated her so well, treated her like an absolute queen, out of sheer jealousy, is so small-minded. In the meantime, Saif Ali Khan is just acting like man-child.
So basically, he realizes that he has feelings for Vidya Balan.
Yeah.
After Sanjay Dutt actually enters their lives.
Right. See, it's human to need the fear of losing someone to understand that you need
Kind of
them.
realize you need
That's
them.
human.
You need
It's
them
not
more
about-
than you thought you would.
It's not a man thing or a woman thing. It's just a human thing that you need to feel the feeling of what if I lost this person, to understand that, okay, I need this person. But why does it have to be ugly?
But like, do they end up together?
Yeah, they end up together. Of course they end up together. I mean, dude,
I
and
have
you know what's
issues with
worse?
certain endings.
See, that's the funny thing. In the meantime, he agrees to marry a different girl. He falls away from her, thinks that like she has actually been disloyal to him, doesn't talk to her about it. Who's surprised? And then actually tries to go get married to a different girl, only to realize, oh shit, she's not been disloyal. She's been loyal the whole time, and maybe I don't get married and ruin another girl's life in the process. And here's the thing, for the movie Parineeta, everyone's talking about him and this girl. What about the other girl whose marriage got cancelled that day because one confused dude is running around?
Yeah.
Imagine her situation. She was getting married that day, and now this guy has had an epiphany. That's great, but what about her?
Suddenly it's a competition. Like, basically a woman is seen as a competition, like, as a trophy here. You will only fight for me when there is second party.
Yeah.
You will not fight for me when it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
Remember Dhanush from Raanjhanaa? Dude, that whole movie where Dhanush
crazy.
That in the whole sick movie, he's just talking about dying. Zoya, I will die if you do not become mine.
Yeah.
Zoya, I will die if you don't.
And he actually does that to himself.
Imagine this, if a man were to come in front of you and slit his wrist. I want to call ambulance man. Like, bro, he's trying to die.
I really like that film personally.
Storyline is good, but problematic is actually the characters.
That's the problem.
That's sometimes also
that I'm attached to that movie.
I think we need to see more scenarios where people actually walk out of their marriages.
just because you kind of put an umbrella term of romance and love, you feel like there should be a happy ending to the story, even when either of the two parties could have wronged like beyond measure.
I am a person who lives for the happy endings. People need to have the scope for mistakes. And mistakes have to be reversible on some level. That's my only hope at this point, that people change, or that people get a chance to make up for mistakes, because mistakes unfortunately happen. Someone or the other has to be forgiving. And that's the only way how anything goes on, but obviously depends on the mistake.
I live for heartbroken men in the end. Love that. Rockstar.
How come it's never the woman who messed up that big and came back?
Oh, because in the movie they show that she has family, she has to look after the family also. तो वो mess up करेगी या family देखेगी? लड़का का mess up. खुद ही सोचो. But yeah, guys, this was fun.